You're now listening to 6 Handpicks, the show where once a week I go into the internet's darkest corners to discover 6 hand-picked near-death experience stories. Today's stories come from 4chan's very own image board X, otherwise known as Paranormal. Let's begin. Story number 1. Deep in the heart of Chicago, walking around at around 11 p.m., it was a summer night and everyone was still out. I was hanging out in the park, drinking and smoking. I got a beep from the pager. I bummed a couple quarters and I walked into the corner store to use the pay box. The local prostitute isn't there, so I used the payphone. My brother calls me frantic on the phone. He says there's someone in our house rifling through our shit looking for something. I calm his ass down and tell him I'll look it over. I run back to the park looking for my friend who can drive me. My brother strolls down the path with his girlfriend. I run over asking him what happened and how he left. He hasn't been home since 7. Shit's getting f***ing spooky right now. So me, him, and the ghetto mystery and cop in the boys' wagon and head over. Get over there to see the cops all over the place. Turns out the group robbing me was a couple of drug addicts who thought I had money. The one was luring me into the house so they could beat it out of me. Unfortunately for them, my neighbor decides to play hero, walks in my house, and he got domed. He'd called the cops, doubly fucking them. The one addict knew my brother and he could do a deadpan expression of him. Severely f***ed me up for years after that. Story number 2. Back when I was 12 years old, LAN gaming centers were very big here back then. I scheduled a gaming session with 2 other of my friends after school. We went together. I decided to stop for a while at this bakery on the way because it's cheaper and better than the food sold at the LAN center. I told them to go ahead, and I'll meet them there once I'm done eating. Near the entrance of the bakery, I can hear some loud shouting. Suddenly, a guy storms out of the bakery. Confused, I just stood there. I heard some shouting from inside the bakery. Look at that direction and see this guy pulling a gun, which I assume was concealed. Dumbfounded, I remained motionless. I hear other people shouting from the direction of the guy who had stormed off from the bakery. They are all pointing guns at him, and so is the guy who was inside of the bakery, as I said. I'm literally between the way of all these guys and the guy who had run off. I heard someone say, "Don't move. Lay down on the ground slowly." I'm literally frozen in fear. This guy in front of me tries to pull a gun in a hurry from his waist. Shooting begins. The guy receives a barrage from both inside and outside the bakery. I was standing a few feet away from him. Not a single shot hit me, and the guy was probably shot at least 15 times. Turns out he was a drug dealer, and these other guys were cops who were into his scheme. He used to pass drugs to the owner of the bakery shop. Story number 3. I work at a shitty part of the city. The parking area is a little bit far away from the workplace. I lock my car and I'm on my way to the entrance of the building. It was at night. I worked the night shift with just one other guy who had already arrived earlier. I heard some footsteps behind me. I notice someone is following me. The footstep sounds are getting louder and quicker. Fuck it. I booked it out of there and started running without even looking back. The person following me is screaming like a madman. I open the entrance door in a hurry. Right when I'm about to close the door, this guy is already in front of me. My friend who works night shift hears the commotion and comes in to help me close the door. We called the police. All they said was sorry, nothing we can do as we searched the area and didn't find anything. Plus, there's no footage of it, so blah blah blah. Okay, thanks, bye. Fuck this place. Story number 4. I was at my old camp with my Boy Scout troop. This old camp was run down and nearing demolition. Next to it was a graveyard, of course. So around dinner time, me and my friends decided to pay a visit. It was around, I'd say, 10 o'clock when we got there. So we searched around and of course found nothing except the old slabs of concrete in the ground. That was until my cousin Cody said he saw a light in the woods. It was faint and dim, but I could also see it. So we decided to track it down and see what it was. When we got there, we saw nothing. However, we could hear chanting from a distance, so we went and tried to find out what it was. We stumbled upon a devil-worshipping cult chanting in the woods, and I tell you, we ran so far and so fast back to our campsite that I think we set a land speed record. Don't go searching for mysterious lights in the woods. Story number 5. We were driving to a business conference really early in the morning, at around 4 a.m. on a Saturday. We got hit by a guy coming back from a rave of all places. When he hit us, he flew out of his car onto the highway. The guy was bleeding from his head, and was completely disoriented. He was actually going back to the highway, not knowing another car was coming. I grabbed him to put him on the side of the road while we were waiting for an ambulance. I almost didn't go to that conference, by the way. The only person that was in the car was myself, a friend, and a driver. The friend was still in shock. Same for the driver. If I wasn't there, the same guy could have been hit again on the highway, still bleeding from his head with no one to take him to the side of the road. Story number 6. I'm 28 now. I've had other really shitty experiences too, such as house break-ins, 3 times for example. The worst one out of those break-ins is when I came back from work in 2008 and went to sleep. I believe it was around 2 p.m. or something like that. Remember, I work night shifts, so sleeping during the afternoon was and is common for me. Anyway, back then, I was still living with my parents. I woke up with someone knocking on my door. I thought it was weird because my parents never did that, so I just asked, "Father, is that you?" I heard no reply and started to laugh thinking he was messing with me, so I approached the door, asking what he wanted. I unlocked the door, and when I opened it, I saw 3 guys holding my father at gunpoint, and holding his mouth closed off. One of them pointed the gun at me and told me to be silent and keep my head down and tell them where I had money stored, etc. I tried to explain I didn't really bring money home, but these guys were really scummy drug users. They were wearing really worn-out clothes, and one of the guys was bloodied. When I said I didn't have money on me, he started to kick me in the ribs, and the others said he'd kill my father if I didn't tell him what he wanted to know. I just pointed to the closet where my cell phone and best clothes were, and he took that. He also took my wallet, which only had my documents in it, but no money. The worst part was when they were about to leave because they did something odd. After beating me in front of my father, they actually said they were leaving and were going to separate us. No idea why'd they just flat out tell us that, but whatever. They locked my father in his bedroom, and then grabbed me and took me into the guest room, which at the time was in the basement. Once there, they covered my head with some cloth they took from the kitchen. The guy neared his gun to my head and then held it there for some seconds. After that, he closed the door and they left. I'm really not sure if he thought it was worth killing me, or if he just wanted to scare me. But that was one of, if not the worst feeling I had ever had in my life. It wasn't exactly fear, it was just nothingness. I felt this humongous need to do something and felt paralyzed. Like everything was about to end and I couldn't do anything about it. Total helplessness. Christ, I fucking hate remembering this shit. Those pieces of shit were no older than 18 either. To think that you could lose your life because some scumbag wants to smoke crack. These things have made me a really jaded and distant person. I was never an extroverted person, but as time went on, I became more and more isolated and wary of everyone else. Gradually, I came to hate everything about this place, the country and everything in it. It may sound edgy or extreme, but I honestly don't care. If you made it this far into the video, I want to personally thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing to my channel, and viewing my videos. If you would like to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel, and let me know in the comments, what type of content would you like to see on this channel? Also, you can tweet at me some of your near-death experience stories, or horror stories, and I might just include them in the next video. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.